This is a brief tutorial on how to play Seven Wonders Duel on Board Game Arena. Seven Wonders Duel is a two-player version of the game Seven Wonders with several different variations on the rules, but the basic core mechanics around building up an engine and completing wonders and trying to get the most victory points is pretty similar. So a lot of this stuff, if you've played Seven Wonders, will look familiar, especially around the individual cards. However, there are some key differences. The first one is that the game is not necessarily determined by victory points alone. That is one way to win. After the game is over, you can win by having the most victory points. But there are two other ways to win immediately in the game. One of those is through a military victory. You can see there is a little conflict pawn here. Every time, and we don't see any cards now, but there will be cards with that have this red shield symbol. You can see it on this wonder over here. And if you take and play one of those cards, it will move this towards your opponent. And as you move it towards them, they may get others that move it back, and some will have two or three that continue to move towards it. If ever this pawn gets to one side or the other, that is a win, an immediate win. So if I was able to push this all the way up to here, then I would win. If my opponent pushed it all the way down here, they would win. So you always have to keep track of where that is. And then the other victory condition is science, where a lot of these green cards will have these science symbols on them, and there are 6 possible science symbols, including one over here on this progress token, which we'll take a look at later. If you are able to get 6 different science tokens on your green cards, you win immediately. That's a scientific victory. So you want to make sure you're not doing that for your opponent as well. So we've you can see here there are these wonders. These were actually drafted before this part of the game started in a snake draft where one player picks one of them, then the second player picks 2, and then the first player picks the other one. And then you do that in 2 sets of 4, so you each end up with 4 wonders. You can complete these wonders at any point. We'll talk about how to do that in a little while. And then there are 3 ages to the game, just like in the original 7 Wonders. An age consists of going through all of the cards that are listed here, or that are shown here. And you can see that some of these cards are face up and some of them are face down. Whenever you clear out or uncover one of these face down cards, it will flip over. So the main turn structure of the game is we'll go back and forth as 2 players, and you will choose one of the available cards. Currently only these uncovered face up cards are available, but if these 2 get cleared out, then this one will become available to whoever is next. Or you could, in some cases, uncover 2 at a time. And when those are cleared out, then this one comes available. But only if it's completely uncovered and flipped over is it available to choose. We'll talk about what each of the different types of cards do here in a minute. After age 1, then there will be a new set of cards that are better cards. In age 2, it will be a slightly different formation of the cards. It kind of looks like a reverse pyramid in age 2. And then after those are all gone through, then there will be a 3rd age with even better cards, including purple cards, which we'll talk about. And that's in a slightly different formation as well. All right, so what are the types of cards? You can see here you've got your little spots for the different colors of cards because you're going to be collecting those and building up your civilization with those cards. The first basic ones are the brown and the gray cards. You can see there's one here, there's one there, there's one up there. Currently I don't see any gray cards flipped up, but they act in the same way. They're simply different types of resources. The brown cards are the brick, the stone, and the wood. And then the gray cards are the scrolls, the bottles, I'm not sure, and the rugs or fabric or tapestries. Taking one of these brown or gray cards puts it in your civilization, in your pile, and you now are able to use that to build other cards. You can see all of these cards, they have a benefit at the top, and then they have little requirements on the left. So some of those are just coin requirements. So each of you start with 7 coin. And for this one, for example, it costs 3 coin to get this card. This one just costs 1 coin. And some of them require specific types of material. So this one requires a bottle or potion or whatever it might be. And let's see, I don't see any others that... yes, this one requires the papyrus or scroll in order to purchase it. If you do not have that required resource through either a brown or a gray card or even some yellow cards, then you can pay to borrow that resource. The standard rate to borrow a resource is 2 coins. That's why the BGA here does a nice thing where it shows you exactly how much each card costs, both for you and for your opponent, which is helpful. So you can see here, this one would cost me 2 cards because I don't have this blue bottle resource yet, so it would cost me 2 to get it. However, if my opponent ended up getting a bottle resource in their civilization, that bottle would now cost me 3 to purchase. So the base cost for borrowing a resource is 2, but for every one that your opponent has in their build, that in their civilization, will add an extra one. So if I had 3 logs here and you needed to borrow a log, it could cost you 5 coin just to borrow that log. But these are the prices for those cards currently. So you can see this brick one costs 1, for example. So those are the brown and the gray cards. They're basic resources. Sometimes they'll give you multiple resources in the later runs, or options of resources. Whenever you see a slash, like here on this wonder, you can choose which resource you want that to be for any specific build. The yellow cards have to do with money and commerce. So they could come in a few different forms. For instance, this one, all it does is give you 4 coin, which as soon as you take it, 4 coins immediately, you have that yellow card. Some of them make things cheaper or easier. For example, in these, if you get one of these reserve cards, like wood, stone, or brick, which happen to all be up front here in the beginning, which is kind of nice, you can now only pay 1 coin if you need that resource for every one of those resources. So if I need 3 brick, I only have to pay 3 coin if I had this card in my civilization. Same with the stone or the wood, instead of having to pay a base 2 and maybe even more if my opponent had some of them. Those are the yellow cards. We'll go through in a later age and see some of the other examples of yellow cards. Some of them will even give points at the end of the game. The points you can see are these little wreaths that anytime you see one of those are victory points that you can receive at the end of the game. We talked a little about the science cards already. The science cards all have a symbol on them. And for the scientific win, you want to collect different types of symbols, 6 different types of symbols. However, if you were able to get 2 of the same symbol, you get one of these progress tokens over here. There are 5 to begin with, and these won't refill. They're randomly chosen, just like the cards are randomly placed out here, but they each have some specific benefit. Like this one just gives you 7 points. This one makes blue cards cheaper. This one's just an extra science symbol if you're trying for the scientific victory. This one helps in the military victory. This one gives you some economic benefit. Again, these aren't necessarily always going to be the same 5. There are others that they could be, but these are the ones that are in this specific game. Those are the green cards. Again, you collect them for science victories, but if you can get those combos, then you will get the progress tokens, which can be super helpful. And sometimes they will have those points on them as well. Blue cards are almost always just points. In age 1, maybe 3, 4 points, but in age 2 and 3, they can get up to 4, 5, 7 points. They will usually have a lot of requirements to build them, but they can be definitely worth it. And then the red ones, like I'd mentioned before, will have some number of shields on them. This shield symbol here you can see, and that shield will move the conflict token towards or away from the other player. Now, not only there are other things besides just the instant win. You can see there are points on these. As I push this past the middle towards that, if it ends up in this section at the end of the game, that's an extra 2 points, and 5, and I think 7, I believe. Also, if I do push it even just once into one of these other sections, it will discard that many coins from the other player. So it is a way to kind of use those military, not just to try to get the victory, but also to get some points at the end and harm the other player by taking away some of their coins. Finally, the purple we'll see in the 3rd age only. Those are basically pure point cards. They'll be things like, hey, get 2 points for every wonder that you've built, or a point for every yellow card that you've collected at the end of the game, that kind of thing. All right, like I said before, the turn structure is we go back and forth, picking cards, and on your turn you choose a card. Now, when you choose a card, you have a few different options, because sometimes you can't even afford a card. But you have 3 different options when you choose a card. And I will show that here in just a sec. Okay, so my opponent first took this brick card, so now they have this brick that they can use whenever they need to build something. You can see these wonders actually cost quite a bit, but they give a whole bunch of benefits as well. Points, sometimes they'll let you do a turn again, or this one lets you pick out of the discard pile. This one, yeah, there's several different things that they do, and it'll kind of show the cost based on the resources you have and the resources you would have to pay for. So right now, this player couldn't afford these 3, but they could afford this one if they paid all their coins, because they have one of the brick, and then they would just pay 2 for each of those other resources. And it kind of explains that when you hover over it, but that is kind of helpful. Now, I've selected this card on my turn, on my first turn. This is the one I want, but I have 3 options to use it. I can either construct it, which is just playing the card for the cost, which would cost me 3. I could discard it for coins if I just didn't have enough money, or I just wanted to get rid of the card so the other player wouldn't have it, but I didn't want to spend the resources to pay for it myself. I could just get rid of it and get coins out of it. You get 2 coins for it, plus 1 coin for every yellow card that you have. So if you start racking up those yellow coins, then all of a sudden discarding gets you even better pay for discarding. So that can be a nice tactic, especially if you start running on money. Or I can use it to construct a wonder. If I'm ever ready to build one of these, meaning I have either enough resources in my civilization or enough money to pay for the resources that I don't have, then I still choose a card, and it places it face down under one of these wonders and builds that wonder, and I get the benefit from it. I don't get the benefit from the card, I just get the benefit from the wonder itself. In this case, I want to construct the building, so I just click construct. Pays for that. It goes here, and now anytime I want to use wood, which I noticed I wanted because I've got a lot of different wood costs in my wonders, it will only cost me 1. And in fact, you'll see these start here 10, 11, 9, but now when I go to the next, these all have decreased automatically. It's another nice thing about BGA. It will always keep those prices updated. So now this 7 only cost me 7 because paying for wood costs less. This will continue to go back and forth, where we will continue to purchase cards, and notice that once I uncovered this card, then it made it available for the other player. This card didn't happen to have 0 cost attached to it, so you can see either of us could just have it. There's one other thing though that's important to recognize. When you buy things, sometimes they have this little symbol in the top right. This is a linking symbol, and basically this means that there's going to be a future card that also has that symbol. And if you have that symbol in your civilization already, you can buy the future card for free. It won't cost any resources. So in this case, it's saying if you buy this theater, there's going to be a statue card in Age 2, and that will be free. It won't cost the regular resources for it. This one here is the pharmacist, and there will be an Age 2 card that will be the dispensary, and it will be free if you have this on already. Not all cards do that, but some do. And in fact, if you really want to see all of the cards and what they do, here's how they work. Here's what age they come out in, and the links that they have. So like this Palisade here does grant, this links to an Age 3 one. So there'll be an Age 3 fortification that if you didn't have it, it would cost 4 resources. But if you have that symbol because you bought the Palisade in Age 1, then you can get it for free. You don't have to have it. It's not a prerequisite. It's just an option. If you have it, you can get it for free instead of paying the resources. You can see, this may have been good to look at earlier. These are the different types of those cards that have the different shields on them. So some have 1, but some have 2, and those will move. And then even in Age 3, there are some that have 3. So these buildings over here are the cards that just don't have links. These are the ones that do. These are those guild cards if you want to look through those. Not all of them will be used in guild in Phase 3. I believe 3 of them randomly will be chosen, and they have different backs, so you can actually tell which of the cards, even if they're face down, are going to be some of those guild cards. All right, I'm going to skip forward a little bit so we can see a bit more as the game progresses what that second and third age would look like. Okay, this is the beginning of Age 3. We actually just skipped through Age 2 here. And one thing I wanted to mention, at the beginning of each of the second and third phase, whoever is behind will, in terms of points, which you can track here, gets to choose who starts in those next ages. So they can choose to start themselves first or to have the other player start first. So in this case, my opponent is choosing to start first. You can see how we've been building up our different cards. So the gray and the browns. Here's some of the different yellow cards that I'm built. These 2 yellow cards basically give the user access to those resources. It is not all 3 of them, but they can use this card as one of those resources. So if they're buying like this wonder here, they could use this for the wood, this for one of the scrolls, this for the other scroll, and then they would just need to pay for a stone. And that's why it costs 3, because base cost of 2 plus I have a stone, so it would cost them 3. And again, if you hover over, it explains all of that. You can see the blue cards and that have been, the points that have been coming up. A lot of the blue cards have those linking symbols on them, and then the green science cards you can see that are here. It tracks how many unique symbols each of us have. Currently it's just 2. We've been using them more for getting these progress tokens. You can see we both have a couple of those. I was able to actually get one as part of my wonder bonus here. And we're going to continue to go through these cards. You can see some of the purple are the 2 guild cards are here now. This one gives 2 points for the for every wonder built by the player who has built the most wonders. So even if I only build 2, or if my opponent builds 2 and I built 4 here, you can see I've already built all 4 of mine. Whoever gets this card, it's worth 8 points because all 4 have been built by one of us. This one here is worth, you look at the brown and the gray, and it's worth one coin immediately and then 1 point at the end of the game for the most brown and the most gray. So the most brown would be me, 3, and the most gray would be them, 2. So it'd be worth 5 coins and then 5 points at the end. And then here's the other guild card. You can see it's a darker purple, so you know that one will be a guild, and it may be worth strategizing on when that one gets turned over. A lot of that is this game, is when do you want certain things to turn over so that you have access to them versus your opponent having access to them. You can see the pawn has moved a little bit, but it's mostly stayed even. It's just a little over on their side. I was able to get one through a wonder here. I should mention too with the wonders, only one person can build all 4 of their wonders. The other person can only build 3. So when this opponent builds their 3rd one, the other one will just go away. And we will continue on through that. It doesn't look like there's going to be any military victory unless some big military cards, which may come out here, could push it one way or the other, but we stayed pretty even on that. And I don't think it's possible to get a science victory at this point. Just it's worth noting that the observatory, that symbol there, only comes out in age 3, so it's impossible to get a science victory before that, because this other symbol here comes out in age 3, and it continues on until all of the cards are gone. And again, in each time you just choose a card, it will be either to construct a wonder, or discard for coins. And then as soon as all the cards are gone, it goes through, fills out all the points. There is a running total that's going here that usually is accurate, but you do get some extra points at the end based on like these guild cards. You also get points, 3 points, or 1 point for every 3 coin, and a few other places that you might see some points. And that is how you play Seven Wonders Duel. Hope this was helpful.